Residents of Zamfara state now live in perpetual fear as the insecurity being experienced in the state has become even worse. Just last week, about 200 people were killed when motorcycle riding AK-47 bearing bandits attacked several villages in Anka and Bukkuyum local government areas of the state. Hashtags like #Zamfara is bleeding, #Zamfara bloodbath has been trending since then, as more than 140 people have been buried already. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed outrage over the killings, promising to hunt down and eliminate all terrorists. Zamfara State Governor Bello Mattawale has reacted to the killings. Well, joining me now is security consultant Dixon Osaje to talk about this. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Vera.
Now, even the president has reacted, and there's been divergent reactions from Nigerians. So let's begin with getting your reaction to what we see or what we saw happen in Zamfara State.
It seems we're getting comfortable with the state of insecurity here in Nigeria. And I feel so worried that every day and now we are in the negative limelight about the state of insecurity here in Nigeria. Zamfara State has recorded a lot of casualties from the hands of these unnecessary human beings. Because for me, I think that we don't have a holistic approach in contending with these guys, because the war is taking so long. Since 2009, when Boko Haram sprang up, we had expected that by now the Nigerian government should have put in mechanism to mitigate the high state of insecurity across board from the east, west, south, and north. But here we see these guys taking hold of our territory, hitting hard on our military targets and our civilian targets. Sometimes the government needs to understand that when it comes to terrorism, the government is the first victim, because people think that those who died in the hands of these criminal elements are the victim. No, in terrorism studies, the first victim is the government.
How so?
Yeah, because they want to hit hard on the government so that they will be able to attract attention or gain political relevance or whatever the case may be. Because those victims never offended them. They don't have any issue or conflicts or in common. So what they tend to do is to demoralize the morale of the government and also push the government in a space in which they could, gain what they want to achieve. But for me, I don't think these guys have unity of purpose, in the sense that what are their objective? What do they really want? What do they want from the government? Some few days ago or a few weeks ago, the Federal High Court prescribe them as terrorists, and I've said that prescription is not really going to dissipate it, because Boko Haram were proscribed terrorism many years ago, and we're still experiencing a high state of insecurity. And the negative aspect of prescribing people terrorists is that it gives us a negative ranking in the global terrorism index each time you prescribe a terrorist, and it's going to also attract international support from terrorist groups. So for me, I think we need a holistic approach in contending with this menace.
All right, we'll come back to what that holistic approach would be, but you mentioned something that I perhaps want you to expatiate on, talking about the fact that this battle has been on for too long.
Yeah.
And recently we saw the Ekiti State Governor in Kayode in an interview saying that in 17 months this could have been fixed, this issue of insecurity that Nigeria is facing. And he said that perhaps there are persons who are benefiting from the fight. That is why we see that it is taking so long. And I wonder what you make of this statement.
I agree. That's for me, I think most of these conflicts entrepreneurs don't want this war to end, because they feed from conflict, they feed from human blood, and they're benefiting from this conflict, because a lot of billions are being allocated by the federal government to most of these states that are suffering from the high state of insecurity. And for me, I think some persons are benefiting a lot, and that is why they don't want this war to end. Whether we like it or not, I will not blame those persons. I will blame the state of the country.
Why?
Because as a nation, human life must be given topmost priority. When you lost a life in any given situation, a city must be shut down, to ensure that such kind of ill activities does not reoccur. But here, we are used to people dying every day. We are used to each time you open your phones, tune on the
and
television.
So because we move on, these people thrive, their business thrive. Is that what you're saying?
You say what?
Because we move on,
yes, we don't have a
thrive.
Yeah, I agree with you. These people thrive because we keep moving on each time an incident transpires. We don't have a conclusive investigation or punishment mechanism, and this is where the administration of criminal justice system comes to play. Crime and punishment must be weighed in one-on-one. If you commit a crime and you are not punished for that crime flourish. And if we have an effective administration of criminal justice system, which consists of the police, the court, and the prison, you commit a crime, the police get you. Take you to the court take you to the prison, and when you get to the prison, you are going to the prison for reformation. But yet in our country, even the prison service, you see people going into a prison, come back to the Nigerian space more hardened of a criminal. That tells you that we're suffering from a high state of recidivism, because most people reoffend after coming out from prison. So what is the problem? That tells you that we need a very, very proactive and reactive mechanism to put in place to ensure that those who go to prison come back reformed. You understand? But for here, people go to prison, come back more of a hardened criminal. So that tells you there's a problem in the administration of criminal justice system. We must start looking at punishment. Punishment is very, very essential. Those who commit crime must have a very high, must pay a very high price for that crime. But here you see people commit crime, they even want to go to court because they know that when they get to court, it's going to take more time and they're going to have their own lawyer to defend them. So I think the Nigerian government needs to start looking at our strategic center of gravity. The center of gravity needs to be very, very effective. And that is why 2023 is around the corner. We need leaders that will bring back Nigeria. We are missing in action. Any day, anytime, anywhere, Nigeria is not in the good limelight. Security is achievable, I must tell you the fact, because if we have countries like America or Russia or great countries that have a lot of landmarks, and people think, oh, they are a developed country. Right. No, they started somewhere. Absolutely. So we need to start looking at projecting mitigation factors to resolve this.
Now, if we are to begin, because you said the center of gravity, we need to look critically at our center of gravity.
Oh, yeah.
What is that center of gravity that we need to critically look at, and how will we galvanize or build on that to have a holistic approach at addressing this issue of insecurity?
Oh, thank you very much. The center of gravity is where the power flows down from the horizontal or vertical plane. Now, when we talk about the center of gravity, that is where these criminals are hitting so hard. That is the power, that is the authority of this great nation. And from the authority of this great nation, if we have, just like the past service chief spent about 5 years in office, why should the president allow them to spend 5 years in office when people are dying every day? We need to start looking at hiring and firing. We need to start looking at people taking a departure from their office when each time we lose a Nigerian in action or in transit. Because if our center of gravity is not effective enough, once these guys successfully hit on our center of gravity, that is the government, the security architecture, the Ministry of Defense, all built in consists of our center of gravity. If we don't have an effective instructions, orders, flowing from the center of gravity down to the operational line, down to the tactical line, whereby our soldiers and our policemen can engage these guys with speed and momentum, ensure we deny these guys sleep by day, we deny these guys sleep at night. If we don't do that, they have time to plan, they have time to respond.
Well, we've been seeing that. We've been seeing the president giving matching orders, to the security operatives and all of the hierarchy. We've been seeing them bombarding areas where they say these bandits are. We've been seeing several efforts by government and security operatives. So what is missing?
Yeah, what is missing is tactics. Tactics is missing, just what we call deception. Deception plays a very big role in the battlefield. Here in our own country, we don't have deception. We have a lot of weak points in our signal intelligence. We have a lot of problem in our document intelligence. Each time the president, for example, gives a marching order or send a signal to the military authority, you see these papers flying around in our public space, flying around in the media. and it gets into the hands of this enemy. You know, the media is classified as open source intelligence. Most people want to get information from the media. Right now, as we're talking, terrorists are listening to us. They get their own information from the media, because each time they go on strike, they fall back to the media to hear what the media is saying. So we need to start looking at signal intelligence. Every soldier, every policeman must be very careful. They must be trained in signal intelligence. Don't pass out information that are critical to the survival of Nigeria. Don't share documents that are critical to the survival of Nigeria. We must start holding most of these guys responsible. Like some time ago, I saw a very important document emanating from the DSS, informing the public or the Nigerian custom about an imminent attack. Yeah. This paper flies around all over the public space, and this will give the enemy an opportunity to go back home and also re-strategize. There's a lot to be done, except we want to believe that the Nigerian military and the Nigerian police has been invaded by most of these criminal elements. Because sometimes last week, I saw a paper from the DHQ telling us that they've killed 957 people, 537. Killing of terrorists is not success. You don't measure your success by the killing of terrorists. Now, the founder of modern day policing, Sir Robert Pierce, stated it very clearly. He said the absence of crime best prove the effectiveness of the police, of the military. If you kill every day, does not mean you are succeeding. What gives you success is the state of peace, the state of rest. Because if you and I live in a state of fear, security has been defeated. If you and I cannot move around, carry out our business activities, security has been defeated. So I would not want the military to come out next time to tell us they've killed some certain number of people. That is not measured, because the only way you measured your achievement is by putting in your military and security mechanism in place, is by ensuring that you lock out or close out these terrorists, is to ensure that people within a conflict environment can live in a space in which they don't have to panic. They don't have to live in a state of fear.
They're not afraid.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something that I wanted to talk more on, which has to do with signal intelligence, I think, where you talked about the media talking about this, that they listen to the media to understand what is going on. Are you saying that the media should not talk about these things?
No, I'm not saying the media should not talk about these things. What I'm trying to say, for example, now, if, for example, the Nigerian military is sending out a signal to, for example, 245 Reki Battalion, where I formerly served in the military, and that intelligence, that signal is talking about a planned attack against these terrorists. For example, if the Nigerian military want to carry out an attack against terrorists in Ikorodu, and a signal is sent to 65 Battalion to carry out that attack, how do you expect that signal to be in a public space? It is a confidential information. What I'm trying to say is that the military are losing confidential information. Indisciplined soldiers are sharing confidential information. Indisciplined police officers and DSS and other security agents are sharing confidential information that are meant to hit hard on this target. And believe you me, if you open your phone today or tomorrow, you see a paper emanating from federal government, emanating from Secretary of the State government, emanating from immigration, emanating from every other part. I will advise that I think they should start looking at stopping, for the time being, we should stop looking at electronic signaling. We should fall back to the former signal procedures, in which you have to communicate by radio and ensure that the signal officers pick that information and pass it to the commanding officer, then action will be shared. But this time around, you see people share signal by WhatsApp, by email and everything. Before you know it, it falls back to the hands of the terrorists. So I'm not talking about the media here. I'm talking about open intelligence. But
isn't those information going out meant to help the people? Now, talking about the public, you know, show some level of support to whatever effort they are trying to put in place at the time.
Oh, no, yeah. What I'm trying to say is this. For example, okay, let me give you a clerical example. Vera is in Ikeja. We need to get Vera to see, well, let me say, maybe to the police station or whatever the case may be. Sorry about the analysis. And now you find that information on the internet. You are the enemy of the state. You find that information about you on the internet. Will you still remain in Ikeja? You change your location, maybe either to Bagada Estate or whatever the case may be. So what I'm trying to say here in essence is that don't allow the enemy know your plan.
Right.
You understand? Deception is paramount in the battlefield. If you have 1,000 soldiers, your enemy must be made to understand that you have 10,000 soldiers. If you have 6 to cannon, your enemy must be made to understand you have 600 to cannon. If you have 100,000 Kalashnikov and 1 million soldiers, your enemy must be meant to have, must be meant to know you have about 10 million soldiers or 10 million Kalashnikov. Don't expose your strength. Put the enemy in a position whereby the enemy cannot predict your action, the enemy cannot predict your movement, the enemy cannot predict your strength, the enemy cannot predict your capacity and capability. If you put them in that deceptive mode, I tell you, we'll begin to win this battle. But this battle will not end if we don't start looking at protecting our national borders, because the porosity of our national borders has really brought us to this, has brought us to this stage. Because if you a borderless nation is a no nation. You keep killing these terrorists. You keep killing these terrorists. How do you close in? Just like you want to kill mosquitoes in your room and your windows are open. Each time you come to spray the insecticide, yes, the ones in the room might go out for a while and come in. Why? Because your windows are open. Border security is very essential. No nation in this world would survive without an effective border security. We have over 1,400 illegal routes. You understand? And most of these regular and irregular migrants take those routes. So if we start looking at border security, close up those routes, we will be able to, hit hard on these terrorists. And I tell you, Vera, we'll be heading to a successful process in mitigating this state of insecurity.
Right. What more then, aside border security and the center of gravity that you have mentioned, what more can we do and that the people can also be a part of, because it is said that security is not just the business of government, it's everybody's business.
Well, security is not everybody's business. It's the business of the government, but it's everyone's concern. There's a difference between business and concern.
Right.
Yeah, because most people think security is everyone's business. That's a wrong notion. It is the business. I'm a security professional. Security is my business. I'm a former soldier. Security is my business. Are you a former soldier or a former security? Okay, security is your concern. You show concern. Because if you say it's your business, that tells you that you will, put in every energy, every, time into it, because it is your business. But if it's your concern, then you show concern and tell the government or the people that this is what is transpiring in my location or whatever the case may be, because it is not by force. That is why security is everyone's concern, but the business of the security professional. The only thing we need to start looking at is that we need to start looking at our personnel. We need to start looking at our soldiers. We need to start looking at the welfare. Are they motivated? What is happening in the battlefield? What do you pay them? It pains me so hard, Vera, that our soldiers train so hard and die cheap. You can't train a soldier so hard and die cheap. 25 years ago, when I joined the Nigerian military, Nigerian army, the training I got, I thought I was going to destroy America or destroy Russia. So hard of a training. So when a soldier is trained so hard, that soldier is meant to die hard. And that's why those days we usually use the phrase that train hard and die hard. But here we train hard and die cheap. How will you train a soldier for about 6-9 months in the military institution and comes out to die cheap? Why is that soldier dying? Why is that soldier dying cheap? Why are they dying cheap? Now the reason why they are dying cheap is that when we talk of equipment is very essential in the battlefield. Arms and ammunition is very essential in the battlefield. That's why we have the software and the hardware. Now, if a soldier is supposed to go and engage the enemy, you need to know the number of the enemy. You need to know the number of people you want to engage in the battlefield. And that is why most times this criminal element, they carry out surveillance, effective surveillance, and they are also matching us back to back on effective surveillance. When you carry out an effective surveillance, you'll be able to ascertain the number of strengths you have. And whenever they come in their numbers to hit hard on our soldiers. So the military should start looking at projecting necessary military force in every formations. Don't just put 5 soldiers or 6 soldiers in a crime-prone area. And that is why crime analysis comes to play. Carry out a crime analysis. Look at all the crime-prone environment within the Nigerian state. When you carry out a crime analysis, you'll be able to project reasonable security force in those areas so that we don't suffer more casualty. If we don't have an effective crime analysis, we will just project some reasonable numbers or unreasonable numbers to a crime-prone area, and then we start suffering casualty.
All right, security consultant Dixon Osaje, thank you for your time on the program.
It's my pleasure.